She was rejected on a blind date. Not just rejected, humiliated. Left sitting alone at a table for two while her phone mocked her with a text that said, "I was just trying to get my mom off my back." She was ready to leave, to disappear into the night and pretend this never happened. But then a stranger walked over to her table, a man she'd never met, and he asked her something she never saw coming, something that would turn her loneliest night into the beginning of everything. "Would you marry me?" Before we continue, let us know in the comment section where in the world you're tuning in from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. And if this story speaks to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Lena stared at the text message, reading it for the third time like somehow the words would rearrange themselves into something less devastating. "Sorry, can't make it. Was just trying to get my mom off my back, you understand?" No, she didn't understand. She sat at Carmichael's, at a candlelit table meant for two, surrounded by the gentle hum of laughter and conversation. Around her, couples leaned into each other, sharing stories and stolen glances. And there she was, alone, again. Elliot had canceled 15 minutes before their 7 o'clock reservation. 15 minutes. Like she was an appointment he could just reschedule. Or in this case, cancel altogether. The waiter appeared at her elbow, young and awkward, clearly sensing something was wrong. "Can I get you started with anything to drink while you wait?" "Just water, please," Lena managed, forcing a smile that felt like it might crack her face in half. She watched him walk away, probably off to whisper to the other servers about the sad woman at table 12 who got stood up. She could already picture them casting sympathetic glances her way, wondering if they should offer her a free dessert or just let her leave with whatever dignity she had left. Lena picked up the menu just to have something to hide behind. She'd worn her good dress tonight, the navy blue one that Maya had insisted looked amazing on her. She'd even straightened her hair, put on makeup, told herself that this time would be different. But it was never different, was it? 29 years old, and she couldn't even get a man to show up. What did that say about her? Was there something written on her forehead that screamed, "Not worth the effort"? Some invisible mark that made men run before they even met her? She blinked hard, willing herself not to cry. Not here. Not in front of all these people who seemed to have figured out something she clearly hadn't. Her phone buzzed. For one stupid, hopeful second, she thought maybe Elliot had changed his mind. Maybe he was outside, ready to apologize and make everything right. It was Maya. "How's it going? Is he cute?" Lena typed back quickly. "He didn't show." The 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, "What? That absolute piece of, I'm calling you right now." "Don't," Lena texted back. "I'm fine, just heading home." She wasn't fine, and she wasn't heading home yet either, because somehow leaving felt like admitting defeat, and she'd already had enough of that for one night. The waiter returned with her water and a basket of bread. "Your guest running late?" "Something like that," Lena said, looking down at her lap. She gave him 5 more minutes. 5 minutes to finish her water, to pretend she was just early, to tell herself that maybe there was traffic, or his phone died, or literally anything other than the truth. And then she'd leave. Pay for her water, walk out with her head high, and never let Maya set her up on another blind date again. But those 5 minutes stretched into 10, and 10 into 15. And suddenly Lena realized she'd been sitting there for almost an hour, staring at the empty chair across from her like it might suddenly materialize a decent human being. She reached for her purse, ready to flag down the waiter and end this nightmare, when a shadow fell across her table. "Excuse me." Lena looked up. A man stood beside her table, tall and broad-shouldered, probably late 30s, with dark hair that looked like he'd run his fingers through it a few too many times that evening. He wore a simple gray button-down and jeans. Nothing fancy, but there was something about the way he carried himself that made her pause. His eyes were kind, but tired, like he'd seen more than his share of hard nights. "I'm really sorry to bother you," he said, his voice low and careful. "But I've been sitting over there for the past half hour, and I couldn't help but notice you're alone." "Great. Here it comes. The pity. Are you okay, sweetie? I know how this sounds," he continued quickly, as if reading her mind. "And I know you don't know me, but I also know what it feels like to sit in a crowded room and feel completely invisible. So I'm just going to ask, and if you say no, I'll walk away, and we'll both pretend this never happened. But would you mind if I joined you?" Lena stared at him. This had to be a joke, or a scam, or maybe the universe's twisted way of making her night even more humiliating. "Why?" The word came out sharper than she intended. The man didn't flinch. "Because 3 years ago, I lost my wife to cancer. And for the first year after she died, I ate every meal alone. At home, in restaurants. Didn't matter. I was surrounded by people and I felt like a ghost. And seeing you sitting here, looking the way you're looking right now, I just thought maybe neither of us should have to eat alone tonight." The honesty in his voice hit her like a wave. This wasn't pity. This was something else entirely. "I don't even know your name," Lena said quietly. Ryan Carter." He didn't extend his hand, didn't make any move to sit down. Just stood there, waiting for her answer like it actually mattered to him. Lena looked at the empty chair across from her. The chair that Elliot was supposed to fill. The chair that had been mocking her for the past hour. And then she looked back at Ryan. At this stranger who just laid his grief bare in the middle of a crowded restaurant because he thought she might need company. What did she have to lose? Her dignity was already in pieces on the floor. "Okay," she heard herself say. "Sure, why not?" Something shifted in Ryan's expression. Relief, maybe, or gratitude. He pulled out the chair and sat down, and for the first time all night, Lena didn't feel quite so alone. "So," Ryan said, settling into his seat, "I'm going to take a wild guess and say your evening didn't go as planned." Lena let out a laugh that was half humor, half disbelief. "What gave it away?" "The death grip you had on your phone earlier. The way you kept checking the door. The fact that you've been sitting at a table for two, alone, for almost an hour." He paused. "Blind date? That obvious? Only because I've seen that look before. Usually in the mirror." Ryan leaned back slightly, his posture relaxed, but his eyes focused entirely on her. "For what it's worth, whoever stood you up is an idiot. You don't even know me." "Don't have to. Anyone who makes plans and doesn't show up without a damn good reason is an idiot. It's just a fact." Lena found herself smiling despite everything. "He texted me 15 minutes before we were supposed to meet. Said he was just trying to get his mom off his back." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Yeah. That's not just idiot behavior. That's coward behavior." The waiter appeared again, this time looking less confused. "Oh, good. Your friend made it. Can I get you folks something to drink?" "I'll have whatever she's having," Ryan said without looking at the menu. "That's just water." "Perfect." After the waiter left, Lena studied Ryan more carefully. There was something genuine about him. Something that felt different from every other guy she'd met in the past few years. He wasn't trying too hard, wasn't putting on a show. He was just there. "You said you lost your wife," Lena said carefully. "I'm sorry. That must have been—" "It was hell." Ryan's voice was matter of fact, but she could hear the weight behind the words. "Still is some days. But I have a daughter, Mia. She's 5, and she's the reason I get up every morning and figure out how to keep going." "Where is she tonight?" "With our neighbor, Mrs. Chen. She watches Mia sometimes when I need to get out of the house." Ryan's expression softened when he talked about his daughter. "I love that kid more than anything in this world. But sometimes being around her is hard because she looks so much like her mother, and I—" He stopped himself, shook his head. "Sorry, that's probably too heavy for someone I just met." "No," Lena said quickly. "It's not," I asked. The waiter returned with Ryan's water and hovered nearby. "Are you folks ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes?" Lena and Ryan looked at each other, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between them. A recognition, an understanding that maybe this night didn't have to be a complete disaster after all. "We need a few more minutes," Ryan said. As the waiter walked away, Ryan turned back to Lena. "So, tell me about you, and not the sad blind date story. Tell me something real." Lena hesitated. It had been so long since someone asked her to talk about herself. Really talk, not the small talk version where you list your job and hobbies like you're filling out a dating profile. Something real. "I'm a kindergarten teacher," she started, then caught herself. "But that's not what you're asking, is it?" Ryan smiled. "Not really, though I bet you're good at it." "What makes you say that?" "Because you're patient. You let me ramble about my dead wife for 5 minutes and didn't run for the hills. That takes a special kind of person." Lena felt her chest tighten, but in a good way. "I like kids. They're honest. Brutally honest sometimes. But at least you always know where you stand with them. They don't cancel 15 minutes before they're supposed to meet you. No, they just tell you your breath smells or that your shoes are ugly." "Exactly." Lena laughed, and this time it felt genuine. "Last week, one of my students told me I looked tired. When I said I was fine, she said, 'No, Miss Martin, you look really tired, like my grandma after church.'" Ryan nearly choked on his water. She did not. She absolutely did. 5 years old and already a savage. They ordered food, nothing fancy. Ryan got a burger, Lena got pasta. And somehow that felt right. This wasn't a date. It wasn't an interview. It was just 2 people sharing a meal because neither of them wanted to be alone. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said after the waiter left. "Sure." "Why did you really come over here? And don't give me the 'I know what it's like to be lonely' speech. There are plenty of lonely people in this restaurant. Why me?" Ryan was quiet for a moment, considering his words carefully. "Because I saw the exact moment your heart broke. When you looked at that text message. And I remembered that feeling. Not from dating, but from the hospital. When the doctor came out and told me there was nothing else they could do. That look of complete devastation. I saw it on your face, and I thought, I don't know. I thought maybe I could at least make sure you didn't have to sit through it alone." Lena's throat felt tight. "That's the kindest thing anyone's done for me in a long time." "Then you need better people in your life. Tell me about it." Lena took a sip of her water, gathering her thoughts. "You want to know the really pathetic part? This is the 4th time this year I've been stood up or canceled on. 4th. My best friend Maya keeps setting me up because she's convinced I need to put myself out there more. But every time I do, I just end up feeling worse about myself. Maybe the problem isn't you putting yourself out there. Maybe it's the quality of people your friend is setting you up with. Maya means well. She's been married for 3 years, has this perfect life with her perfect husband, and she just wants me to be happy like she is. But I'm starting to think maybe some people just aren't meant for that. Ryan leaned forward slightly. You really believe that? I don't know what I believe anymore. Lena felt the frustration bubbling up, all the disappointment and self-doubt she'd been swallowing down for months. I'm 29. All my friends are getting married, having kids, posting pictures of their anniversary trips to Italy. And I can't even get a guy to show up for a first date. What am I doing wrong? Nothing, Ryan said firmly. You're doing nothing wrong. You're just meeting the wrong people. How can you be so sure? Because I'm sitting here talking to you, and in the last 20 minutes, you've made me laugh more than I have in weeks. You're smart, you're funny, you're clearly compassionate given your job. The problem isn't you, Lena. It's them. Hearing her name from his lips felt strangely intimate. She realized she hadn't told him her name yet. How did you... Your phone. When you were texting earlier, I saw the name on your lock screen. Sorry, I wasn't trying to be creepy. You're not creepy, just observant. Lena paused. So, what about you? Have you tried dating since your wife passed? Ryan's expression shifted, becoming more guarded. A couple times. My mother-in-law keeps telling me Sarah would want me to move on, to find someone who could be a mother figure for Mia. But every time I try, it just feels wrong, like I'm betraying her memory or something. That must be hard, wanting to move forward but feeling stuck in the past. Yeah. Ryan rubbed his hand across his face. The worst part is, I know Sarah would be furious with me for putting my life on hold. She made me promise, before she died, that I wouldn't shut down, that I'd let myself be happy again. But knowing something intellectually and actually doing it are two very different things. Their food arrived, and they ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Lena watched Ryan, noticing the way his shoulders had relaxed since he first sat down. He looked less burdened now, less alone. Can I tell you something that might sound crazy? Lena said suddenly. Ryan looked up. After the night we've both had, I don't think anything could sound crazy. When I saw that text from Elliot, I thought that was it. Rock bottom. The moment where I'd finally have to accept that maybe love just isn't in the cards for me. But sitting here with you, I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like maybe I was just looking in all the wrong places. Ryan set down his fork, his eyes locked on hers. What are you saying? I'm saying thank you for seeing me, for not letting me sit alone in my misery, for reminding me that there are still good people in the world. Lena, I know this is weird. I know we just met. But I feel like I've known you longer than I've known people I've dated for months. Does that make sense? Ryan nodded slowly. It does, because I feel it too. The air between them shifted, charged with something neither of them could quite name. It wasn't attraction exactly, though Lena couldn't deny that Ryan was handsome. It was deeper than that. A connection that felt both brand new and strangely familiar. What happens after tonight? Lena asked quietly. Ryan looked at her for a long moment, something shifting in his expression, something decisive. I don't know, but I know I don't want this to be the only time we do this. You want to see me again? Yeah, I do. Ryan paused and then let out a small laugh. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say something that's probably going to sound insane, but I'm going to say it anyway because life's too short to play it safe. Lena's heart started beating faster. Okay. Ryan took a deep breath. I think you could be the person I've been waiting for. I know that sounds ridiculous. We've known each other for less than an hour, but sitting here with you feels right in a way nothing has felt right in 3 years. And I don't want to waste time pretending I don't feel that. Lena's breath caught in her throat. Ryan, I'm not saying we rush into anything. I'm just saying, what if we didn't let this go? What if we saw where this could lead? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility and promise. And for the first time all night, Lena felt something she'd almost forgotten how to feel. Hope. Lena opened her mouth to respond, but before she could find the words, Ryan did something she didn't expect. He reached across the table and took her hand. Not aggressively, not presumptively, just gently, like he was asking permission even as he did it. I know this is fast, Ryan said, his thumb tracing a small circle on her palm. And I know you have every reason to be skeptical. But I learned something when Sarah died. Life doesn't wait. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And when you feel something real, you don't let it slip away because you're scared. Lena's heart was hammering so hard, she was sure he could hear it. What are you saying? Ryan smiled, and this time it reached his eyes completely. I'm saying, what if we stopped playing by everyone else's rules? What if we just admitted that something happened here tonight, something neither of us expected? Ryan, we just met. I know. Believe me, I know how this sounds. If someone had told me this morning that I'd meet someone tonight who would make me feel like this, I would have laughed in their face. He squeezed her hand gently. But here we are. Lena looked down at their joined hands, then back up at his face. There was no game here, no pretense, just raw, honest emotion from a man who'd clearly been through hell and somehow still had the courage to put himself out there. I'm scared, she admitted quietly. Good. Me too. Ryan leaned forward slightly. But I'm more scared of walking away from this and spending the rest of my life wondering what could have been. The restaurant buzzed around them, but in that moment, it all faded to background noise. There was just Ryan's hand in hers, his eyes searching her face, waiting for an answer to a question she wasn't even sure she understood yet. So, what do we do? Lena asked. Ryan was quiet for a moment, and she could see something working behind his eyes. Then, slowly, a look of determination crossed his face. The kind of look that said he was about to do something either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Marry me. Lena blinked. What? Marry me, Ryan repeated, his voice steady. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but someday, when you're ready, when I'm ready. But let's start with that intention. Let's not waste time dating and wondering and playing games. Let's just be honest about what this is. Lena stared at him, her mind racing. This was insane. This was the most insane thing anyone had ever said to her. They'd known each other for barely an hour. This wasn't how real life worked. This wasn't how love happened. Except maybe it was. You're serious, she said. And it wasn't quite a question. I'm serious. Ryan's grip on her hand tightened slightly. Look, I know I sound crazy. I know this isn't normal. But I've done normal. I've played it safe. And when I lost Sarah, I learned that life doesn't care about your careful plans. So yeah, I'm serious. I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I'm asking if you believe in this enough to see where it goes. Lena felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. But they weren't sad tears. They were overwhelmed tears, shocked tears, maybe even happy tears. "I don't even know what to say," she whispered. "Say you'll think about it. Say you'll give us a real chance." Ryan paused. "Say you'll let me take you to dinner again. Somewhere less crowded. Somewhere we can really talk." A laugh bubbled up from Lena's chest, surprising her. "You're asking me to marry you, but you're also asking me on a second date." "I'm practical," Ryan said with a grin. "We should probably go on at least a few dates before we start picking out china patterns." "You're insane." "Maybe, but you're smiling." He was right. She was smiling, actually smiling for the first time in hours, maybe days. "Okay," Lena heard herself say. "Okay, okay, I'll see you again. Okay, I want to see where this goes. Okay to all of it." She squeezed his hand back. "But I'm not saying yes to the marriage thing. Not yet." "Not yet," Ryan repeated, his smile widening. "I can work with not yet." They finished their meal talking about everything and nothing. Ryan told her about Mia's obsession with dinosaurs and her absolute refusal to wear anything that wasn't purple. Lena told him about her class's recent disaster of a school play where one kid forgot his lines and just started making dinosaur noises instead. When the check came, Ryan insisted on paying. "Consider it an apology on behalf of all the idiots who came before me." "You don't have to apologize for them." "I know, but I want to." They walked out of the restaurant together into the cool night air. The parking lot was half empty now, the dinner rush long over. Lena wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly aware that the evening was ending. "So," Ryan said, turning to face her, "can I have your number? Or is that too traditional after proposing marriage?" Lena laughed and pulled out her phone. They exchanged numbers, and Ryan immediately sent her a text. "Proof I'm real and not a weird restaurant hallucination." "Very funny," Lena said, but she was grinning. Ryan walked her to her car, his hands in his pockets, looking almost shy now that the moment was winding down. When they reached her old Honda, he stood there for a moment, like he was trying to figure out how to say goodbye. "Thank you," Lena said softly. "For tonight. For everything. Thank you for saying yes. To the date, not the marriage proposal. Though I'm still holding out hope on that one." Lena shook her head, still smiling. She unlocked her car, her hand on the door handle, when Ryan spoke again. "Lena?" "Yeah. I meant what I said in there. All of it." She looked at him, at this man who'd walked into her worst moment and somehow turned it into something beautiful. "I know you did." She was about to get in her car, about to drive away and process everything that had just happened, when a voice called out across the parking lot, "Lena! Lena, wait!" She turned, her stomach dropping. Elliot was jogging toward her, his face flushed, his hair disheveled like he'd been running. He stopped a few feet away, breathing hard, his eyes darting between her and Ryan. "Lena, I'm so sorry," Elliot said, his words tumbling out in a rush. "I made a huge mistake. I panicked, and I shouldn't have canceled, and I've been driving around for the past 2 hours trying to work up the courage to come back and find you. Please, can we just talk? Can I explain?" Lena stood frozen, her hand still on her car door. Ryan had gone very still beside her, his jaw tight, watching Elliot with unreadable eyes. "You've got to be kidding me," Lena muttered. I know how this looks," Elliot continued, taking a step closer. "But I really do want to get to know you. I was an idiot. I let my anxiety get the better of me. But I'm here now. Can we start over, please?" Lena looked at Elliot, This man who'd humiliated her just hours ago. Then she looked at Ryan, who'd shown her more genuine kindness in one evening than Elliot had in a single text message. The choice should have been obvious. But standing there, with both men watching her, waiting for her answer, Lena realized that what happened next would change everything. What do you think Lena should do? Should she give Elliot a chance to explain, or take a leap of faith with Ryan? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and type part 2 if you want to see what happens next. Make sure you like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to Soul Story for more tales that will touch your heart. Because sometimes, the best love stories start with the worst dates.